6. Star Wars set in Tunisia. Star Wars is one of the most popular and influential sci-fi franchises ever made. But not many people know that some of its iconic filming locations still exist out in the real world. The planet Tatooine, where Luke Skywalker was raised and where he met General Obi-Wan Kenobi, was mostly filmed in Tunisia, a country located in North Africa. The filmmakers built elaborate sets up in the desert to form the illusion of a harsh and isolated world. And after the shooting was done, they left them all behind. Some of those sets are still standing out there today, almost 50 years after the first movie was released to the public. One of them is Luke's childhood home, which is also known as the Lars Homestead. It's a dome-shaped structure made of plaster and wood, surrounded by a moisture farm. It was used in 4 different Star Wars movies: A New Hope, The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith, and is located near the town of Nefta. It has become a very popular tourist attraction for Star Wars fanatics. Another set found in Tunisia is the Mos Espa spaceport, where young Anakin Skywalker lived and drove pod racers. It's a small complex of buildings and props that resemble a futuristic city in the middle of the desert. It was built for the Phantom Menace and covers an area of about 107.6 feet. It's situated near the village of Ong Jamel and has also attracted many visitors over the years. But these sets are not immune to the forces of nature. They've been exposed to the elements, including sandstorms, erosion, vandalism, and theft. Some parts have been damaged or stolen, while others have been restored or preserved by fans and various organizations. The Tunisian government has also recognized the cultural and economic value of these sets and have taken steps to better protect them. These sets are not only relics of cinematic history, but also key witnesses to a galaxy far, far away. 5. The Skeleton Coast. The Skeleton Coast makes up a portion of the Atlantic coast of Namibia, where many ships have met their final resting place thanks to the harsh conditions of fog, wind, currents, and rocks. The ominous name comes from the whale and seal bones that used to cover the shore, as well as the human skeletons of shipwrecked sailors who could not survive in the harsh desert environment. The Skeleton Coast is also known as the largest ship cemetery on Earth, home to hundreds of shipwrecks. The Skeleton Coast has been a dangerous area for naval vessels for thousands of years since ancient times. One of the oldest shipwrecks in the area is the Bom Jesus, a Portuguese ship that was wrecked during the 1530s. It's one of the oldest discovered shipwrecks of the Iberian Atlantic tradition in sub-Saharan Africa. The Bom Jesus carried gold, silver, copper, ivory, and other extremely valuable items that were finally recovered by archaeologists in 2008. The Skeleton Coast became even more notorious in the 19th and 20th centuries, when European explorers, traders, and colonizers frequently sailed along its shores. Many ships of the Wehrmann Line, a German company that ran passenger and cargo services between Europe and Africa, were wrecked here. Some of the most famous wrecks are the Gertrude Wehrmann II, which ran aground in thick fog on a reef near Swakopmund back in 1904, and the Edward Boleyn, which lost its way at Conception Bay in 1909. The Edward Boleyn is one of the most photographed shipwrecks in all of Namibia. Currently, it's 2,624 feet inland and partially buried under sand. The Skeleton Coast also witnessed some dramatic rescue missions during World War II, when several Allied ships were stranded and attacked by German forces. One of the most remarkable stories comes from the Dunedin Star, a British refrigerated cargo passenger liner that ran aground 40 kilometers south of the Kunene River mouth in 1942. The Dunedin Star had 106 people on board who managed to reach the shore thanks to the help of a Norwegian cargo ship. But their ordeal was not over, since they had to survive in the barren desert with limited supplies and drinkable water. Several planes were sent to help them, but some of them crashed or got stuck in sand. Eventually, after 2 months of hardship and heroism, every one of the survivors were rescued by either land or air. The Skeleton Coast is a place that tells stories of adventure, tragedy, and survival. It's a place that reveals the power and danger of nature, as well as the courage and resilience of human beings. The coast preserves the history of hundreds of ships that have met their fate on its shores. 4. A mass grave. Chile's Atacama Desert is one of the driest and most inhospitable places on Earth, but it also holds an incredible secret: a mass grave full of 40 whales, several dolphins, and other ancient sea mammals that died millions of years ago. How did these creatures end up so far from the ocean, you might ask? And what killed them? The answer lies in a strange phenomenon known as harmful algal blooms, or HABs for short. These are outbreaks of microscopic algae that grow rapidly and produce toxins that affect the nervous system, liver, or digestive systems of both marine animals and humans. HABs can happen naturally or be triggered by human activities like pollution, overfishing, and climate change. Researchers believe that nearly 6 million years ago, a massive HAB took place in the Pacific Ocean near the coast of Chile. The toxins from the algae killed many whales and other mammals that typically fed on plankton or fish. The currents then carried the dead or dying animals into a shallow tidal canal that led into an estuary. There, the creatures became stranded on the flat sands and were eventually buried by sediment over time. The fossils were discovered back in 2010 during the construction of a highway in the Atacama Desert. The site, Cerro Balena, Whale Hill, is one of the largest and most diverse fossil marine mammal assemblages in the world. It holds 4 distinct layers of fossils, indicating that the HAB event was repeated at least 4 different times over a period of several thousand years. The Cerro Balena fossils provide a unique window into the past ecology and evolution of marine mammals in South America. They also deliver a warning for the present and future, since HABs are becoming more frequent and severe thanks to human impacts on the oceans. Have you ever found something strange in the desert? Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe if you're enjoying the video. 3. The Boulder City Pet Cemetery. The Boulder City Pet Cemetery is a unique and fascinating place that reflects the devotion of pet owners across southern Nevada. Located in the middle of the desert, about 25 miles from Las Vegas, the cemetery houses hundreds of handmade tombstones that honor the memory of animals, from dogs and cats to horses and monkeys. The cemetery is not officially sanctioned by authorities and is technically illegal to bury remains there. But that hasn't stopped people from doing so since the 1930s, when the cemetery was apparently started by a man named Emery Lockett, who offered plots of land to civilians in the desert for a fee. Another possible founder is Marwood Dowd, who buried his own pets there and strongly encouraged others to do the same. The cemetery is a testament to the creativity and individuality of each of the pet's owners, who crafted their own memorials using different materials and styles. Some are simple wooden crosses with handwritten names, while others are elaborate structures built up with fences, statues, toys, and flowers. Some have funny or heartfelt messages, while others have religious or patriotic symbols. Some are well maintained and regularly visited, while others are weathered and seem to be forgotten. The cemetery is also shrouded in mystery and many rumors, since some believe it's not only a resting place for pets, but also for a few humans. Some speculate that the cemetery was once used as a clandestine burial ground for victims of mafia activity in Las Vegas, since it's close enough to the city but far enough from prying eyes. Others claim that they've heard or seen paranormal phenomena going on in the cemetery, such as ghostly sounds, lights, or apparitions. The Boulder City Pet Cemetery is a remarkable site that deserves to be explored and appreciated by anyone who loves animals or is curious about history. It's a desert oasis full of love and mystery that reveals the stories and personalities of both the pets and their owners. 2. Video Game Burial Site. The Atari video game burial was one of the most notorious events that happened in the history of the video game industry. It went down in 1983 when Atari Inc., a leading company in the arcade and home console markets, faced a major financial crisis because of the oversaturation and decline of the video game market. Atari produced millions of cartridges for its games, but many of them were unsold or returned by retailers. One of the most infamous examples of this was E.T. the Extraterrestrial, a game that was based on the popular movie and was rushed to meet the holiday season deadline. The game was widely criticized for poor quality and poor gameplay, and became a massive commercial flop. Atari reportedly had millions of unsold ET cartridges, along with more unpopular titles such as Pac-Man and Raiders of the Lost Ark. In September 1983, Atari decided to get rid of these unwanted cartridges by dumping them in a landfill near Alamogordo, New Mexico. The company hired a contractor to transport and bury the games in a secret location, hoping to avoid publicity and any controversy. But the media soon caught wind of the operation and extensively reported on it. The landfill had to be guarded by security personnel and covered with concrete to prevent scavengers from digging up the cartridges. The event was seen as a symbol of Atari's downfall and the tragic end of a golden age of video games. For decades, the Atari video game burial was shrouded in mystery. Some people doubted that it ever happened or that it involved such a large number of cartridges. Others wondered what else could be buried in the landfill, or if any of the cartridges were actually still playable. In 2014, a team of filmmakers, archaeologists, and enthusiasts received permission from the city of Alamogordo to excavate the landfill and search for the buried cartridges. The excavation was filmed for a documentary called Atari: Game Over. The team managed to find over 1,300 cartridges of various games, including E.T., confirming the existence and location of the burial site. The recovered cartridges were cleaned and tested, and some of them were then auctioned off to collectors and museums. The excavation also revealed other items that were buried along with the cartridges, like consoles, controllers, joysticks, keyboards, and promotional materials. The Atari video game burial is a fascinating story that reflects the rise and fall of a pioneering company in the gaming industry. It also shows how video games have become such a huge part of our culture and history, and how they can inspire nostalgia among generations of gamers. 1. The Ten Commandments film set. One of the most impressive and mysterious film sets ever created is buried in the sand dunes of California. It's the colossal replica of ancient Egypt built for the 1923 silent movie The Ten Commandments, directed by Cecil B. DeMille, one of the pioneers of Hollywood. The film was a biblical epic that told the story of Moses and the exodus of the Hebrews from Egypt. It was one of the most expensive and ambitious movies created during its time, costing nearly $1.5 million and employing thousands of extras, animals, and props. The film set was designed by Paul Iribe, a French artist who was inspired by the discoveries of Tutankhamun's tomb back in 1922. He built a lavish and realistic depiction of ancient Egypt, with giant statues, sphinxes, temples, and even palaces. The film set covered 12 acres and was located in the Guadalupe Nipomo Dunes National Wildlife Refuge, a remote and windy region on the coast of California. The location was chosen for its resemblance to Egypt, but it also posed many challenges for filmmakers. The sand was constantly shifting and eroding the newly built structures. The weather was unpredictable and harsh, and transportation logistics were difficult. After filming finished, DeMille faced another issue: how to dispose of the massive film set. He considered leaving it as a tourist attraction, but he feared that it would be vandalized or damaged by nature. He also considered dismantling it and taking it back to Hollywood, but that would have been too costly and time-consuming. He finally decided to bury it in the sand, hoping it would be preserved for future generations. The film set was soon forgotten and remained hidden for decades. It was finally rediscovered in 1983 by a group of film enthusiasts who used aerial photographs and metal detectors to find it. They found several fragments of statues, sphinxes, and buildings that managed to survive the elements. They also found a few artifacts that had been used in the film, like props, costumes, and jewelry. In 2012, a partial excavation was conducted by archaeologists and filmmakers who wanted to preserve the film set. They found more pieces of the film set and learned more about its history. They also faced challenges such as environmental regulations, funding issues, and sandstorms. the Ten Commandments film set is a unique and valuable cultural heritage that reflects the creativity and vision of Cecil B. DeMille and his team. It's also a testament to the power and influence of cinema in shaping our imagination and understanding of history. It's a lost treasure in the desert that deserves to be seen and appreciated. Thanks for watching. Which of these abandoned items was your favorite? If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating content. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.